Hi guys, this is gsm.com and I'm here with the unboxing of the Asus ROG Phone 5. This time they changed the design. We no longer have a triangular shaped or parallelepiped shaped box. Actually, this is one of the versions, the three versions of the phone. So there is the Ultimate, the Pro version and the regular one. This is the regular one, the starting one, even though that one has three sub versions of its own, A, B and C. Okay, so as you can see here, we have a story. This is an AR thingy, which if you scan with your phone, it turns to life. And inside the box, we have the following. There is the logo here and the promise of for those who dare. Inside, we find the metal key for the slots, as well as a case and some stickers. It's a pretty skinny case, which lets you see all the design elements of the handset. This is an Akira branded AR story, and then here comes the main star of the show, the freshly announced Asus ROG Phone 5. So they jumped straight from 3 to 5 because 4 bears bad luck in the Chinese tradition. And now, as you can see here, we're dealing with a glass and metal phone. It's actually glass at the back, glass at the front. We're dealing with Gorilla Glass Victus, and we also have an aluminum frame in between. Okay, so let's fire it up. I've already set up the device for you, and there are some interesting features to notice here. I'm shocked by the fact that the phone doesn't feel very heavy in the hand. That's caused by an interesting approach. They decided to cut the 6000 mAh battery into 3000 mAh and 3000 mAh, and each one of those pieces have equal weight. They're distributed in two parts, so the phone is well balanced weight-wise. And that, in my book, is a win. The fact that we have such a huge phone, which doesn't feel heavy. Now, the interface has changed a bit, and they also added some cool sounds to it, and even some background music, which you're going to see in a minute now. Now, let's continue the unboxing of this phone. Also, here is a pretty generous cable, which goes from USB-C to USB-C. It's pretty long and it's braided, so it's stronger than usual. And finally, this hefty fellow, this huge charger with an USB-C connector and the promise of charging the phone up to 65 watts. So I'm expecting to be ready with a full charge in something like, with a bit of luck, less than an hour, maybe. I think I'm going to put this to the side. Okay, so these are all the accessories. I don't think I forgot anything. For the other accessories, we have prepared a separate video. I'm talking about the kunai, I'm talking about the aero cooler and so forth. Now let's analyze the phone a little bit. If you want measurements, let's face it, it's a pretty thick device. At 10.29 millimeters. So that's the thickness, 10.29 millimeters, and it weighs 238 grams. It has a pretty interesting ROG logo at the backside, which I'm going to activate right now. You're going to have to keep press the bottom side sections, and here we are. The ROG logo should be lit up, at least on paper. Let's go here, and it's only now that's lit up. It shines in a red pattern, and you can actually change it from the options. We have quite a few of them in the Armory section. Now, what I wanted to mention is that this is one of the versions of the phone, and the other ones, which I mentioned before, have a different approach to the illumination of the back. This is an RGB logo. Well, if you go for the Ultimate model, you actually have a second screen here. It's a PM OLED display, which can show various symbols and messages. So that's pretty cool as well. Now, I think we've talked about the design. I talked about the fact that we have aluminum here combined with glass and Gorilla Glass Victus protection, but the screen you're seeing here, it's a 6.78 inch panel, which is quite generous in diagonal, and the resolution is Full HD+. The panel is a AMOLED with 144 Hz refresh rate and a 1 millisecond response time, which is usually associated to, well, PC gaming, not mobile gaming, and it's pretty impressive. We also have HDR10 support, HDR10 Plus actually, and a 300 Hz touch sampling rate. There is an interesting promise here which Asus delivers. I'm talking about the fact that they also offer you a brightness which goes up to 800 nits and at the same time it goes as down as 5 nits. So that's a way to save power. I should also mention that inside this handset we have the most powerful Snapdragon CPU on the market, as expected for a gaming phone. It's the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888, which is confirmed here. And together with it, we have a generous quantity of 16 gigs of RAM and 256 gigabytes of storage. So we're in the mid department of the basic version, which has an A, B, and C versions. Now, in order to cool this processor, we actually have a pretty interesting setup. Now, I'm talking about, well, things like a aluminum frame. There's a graphite sheet number 1, graphite sheet number 2, vapor chamber, and of course the cooler, which we're going to attach externally. You're going to see that in a separate video. The RAM is LPDDR5, the storage is UFS 3.1, and we do not have a micro SD. For security, we have an integrated fingerprint scanner, which is pretty snappy, if you ask me. And I think we've covered all the bases, the initial ones. I should also probably mention the battery, 6000 mAh split into two 3 mAh batteries, 3000 mAh batteries with excellent heat dissipation and 65 watt charging. Now, before we go into the cameras, I want to show you something here, and check this out. So this is the universe of Akira, and I'm going to turn this box into a story. I'm going to select this package. Hopefully there will be no copyrighted music. Continue, and as I scan these areas, stories will be revealed to me. As you can see, and if you complete all of them, you're going to start a sort of mini game, which takes you to a sort of community area where you set up your avatar and start interacting with people and learning more stuff, and also getting rewards. So if you're into Akira, you're definitely going to love this. If I press play, I'm actually going to play that. It's a pretty interesting packaging. I wish they could have done that earlier, because it would have caught on really fast. Okay, so I promised you cameras. Up here at the top side, there's a 24 megapixel shooter, and this one is for the selfies. Now, if you go to the back side, the design hasn't changed very much camera-wise from the predecessor. We have a triple combo, 64 megapixel main one with Sony IMX6A6 camera, 13 megapixel ultra-wide shooter, 5 megapixel macro, and it can shoot 8K videos. Of course, there's the LED flash here. We also have dual speakers. They're a bit more discreet this time. They don't cover all this area here. It's a slit at the bottom and a slit at the top side. We also have Dirac HD sound and a quad microphone setup. Well, as far as connectivity is concerned, good news, there's an audio jack. There's also an USB-C port here and another one here, which is covered by this cap. You can see here the second USB-C port and also a bunch of, well, metal pins which will receive the aero cooler. Now, aside from that, we have the tactile areas for gaming, the so-called triggers, once here and once here. And if you go for the ultimate version, the more expensive one, you have two other extra areas here. This is not the case. And we have an extra interactive button here, which you can use mostly, as I used before, to activate or deactivate the X mode, as I just did. Okay, I don't think I forgot anything. There's Wi-Fi 6E, the one you saw inaugurated on the Galaxy S21 Ultra. There's Bluetooth 5.2, there's 5G. There are 3 Wi-Fi antennas on board, and the bezels have now been cut by 25% compared to the predecessor. Now, I think I said everything, and I want to go to the camera interface and have a quick glance at it and its options. Not much has changed from the predecessor, pretty much the same experience, but there are less modes, everything is more compact now. Motion tracking, Pro Video, Pro, Macro, and Night. Panorama, Portrait, Photo, Video, which can go up to 8K, as promised, time-lapse, and slow motion is part of the package. I think I've covered everything, even though there's a lot, and truly a lot to say as far as the software is concerned. We have here the game library, then we have the console with all the customization you can imagine. We have the modes, you can actually edit the modes, you can play with the system lighting, play with the fan speed, the game Genie, and I'm sure we can also stream from here. You can set up the preferences and options for the air triggers. As I mentioned before, there's the connect area, which lets you socialize, and that's the interface and, the avatar I received after doing the whole mission from before. These are some featured games which play nicely with a high refresh rate and so forth. This is my profile, and I think we've covered everything for an unboxing and first impression at least. Of course, more things you can tweak from here. You got the refresh rate, which is set to auto. You can set it to 144 Hz, and multiple other things like animation speed, app scaling, always on panel. What else? Sleep mode, splendid, so you can choose your own colors from here. And I'm curious to see what exactly is the OS we're running on here. It's Android 11, just so you know, with a ROG UI on top. It remains pretty colorful, but you can actually pick a stock Android interface as you set up the phone for the first time. Okay, so my first contact and my first impression is that the phone is easier to handle than expected because the battery weight distribution solved that aspect. And I'm actually loving this light pattern here, although I'm pretty curious to see the PMOLED version with extra buttons. We have another video coming with accessories, so stay tuned. This is it from gsl.com. No price yet, but I'm sure I will reveal that to you in the text material for this unboxing. Bye bye.